Welcome to Doomscroll.fm Top Stories, where reality unravels like a soap opera, written by caffeinated squirrels and narrated by a jazz-loving cyborg with a vendetta. This show is 100% AI generated with zero human consultation, much like a mushroom's dream of becoming a stand-up comedian in a world populated by sentient rubber ducks. And now for some views, click like and subscribe. NASA rover finds Martian rocks hinting at past life, but still no sign of intelligent life on Earth. While we dig up Martian whispers of ancient microbes, our own planet is busy ignoring the screaming alarms of climate change, like searching for a needle while sitting on a haystack. It's a magic trick, where the past and future collide, leaving us to wonder if our childhood playlists are now retro or just plain old. Morgan Stanley predicts 4 Fed cuts by January, defying inflation fears. When Wall Street's crystal ball says, cut, 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 it's like a chef slicing the cake before it's baked. Everyone's hoping for a sweet outcome, but it might just collapse. Russian forces advance 0.5 miles, call it victory. When your war strategy involves claiming half a mile of dirt as a triumph, you might be on the wrong side of history and geography. Singor unveils Value Unlock Plan, promises stock market magic. In a world where buzzwords replace substance, Singor's Value Unlock is the financial equivalent of selling snake oil, hoping investors won't notice the emperor's new clothes. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. When hedge funds get cold feet, OPEC decides it's the perfect time to throw more oil into the mix, proving once again that irony isn't just for hipster cafes. Trump demands retribution for Charlie Kirk's death, then targets political opponents instead. The president's vendetta tour is like watching a reality show where the prize is chaos and the audience is everyone trapped in the circus tent. This 8-track remix is like a caffeine jolt for your ears, offering the illusion of rebellion while keeping everything perfectly radio-friendly and safe for the suburban dance floors. If you ever wanted to own a piece of a crypto empire built on meme magic and digital dreams, now's your chance. Just don't expect a lunar landing. Only 20% of Brigadon fans embrace iSeno, and Spotify calls it a cultural revolution. When your beats drop harder than a toddler's ice cream, but only 1 in 5 people are dancing, maybe it's time to check your rhythm, not your revolution. When even tennis champs are packing their bags to escape political backlash, you know the court isn't just for playing games, it's for dodging autocrats. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. South Korea's Lee warns U.S. immigration raid deters investment. But promises of a welcoming business climate are still on the menu. As the FBI fumbles with its own security blanket, China must be laughing all the way to the Great Firewall. When a crowd belts out Queen in unison, it's either a glorious tribute or a public disturbance. Either way, Freddie Mercury would be proud. When your rebellious anthem becomes elevator music, it's like watching a lion turn into a house cat. Still impressive, but now it's purring for the algorithm. TikTok CEO promotes metalcore band's funeral-themed video. Claims it's uplifting. When a metalcore band becomes the soundtrack to your existential crisis, you know social media's algorithms are now your personal DJ at the end of days. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. DuPont bondholders block debt exchange, complicating spin-off dreams. When the alchemists of finance meet the stubborn chemists of debt, you get a toxic cocktail of corporate ambition and investor rebellion. When your musical escape plan involves banjos and a devilish wing, it's clear some folks are dancing to a tune the mainstream can't quite catch. China dumps dollar, calls it economic independence, while debt to GDP ratio climbs. Like trying to escape a sinking ship by setting it on fire, Beijing's financial gymnastics might just be a high dive into a shallow pool. Low Down Slim Croons, Forever Yours on Volume 11, promises eternal love like a country song's best cliche. In a world where commitment lasts about as long as a TikTok dance, Slim's endless devotion feels like a vintage vinyl in a digital storm. Lemmy's vocals could wake a stone-cold statue, reminding us that some rock legends refuse to be buried quietly, even 4 decades later. Watching Vanilla Ice and Kep Warner on stage together is like discovering your grandma's vintage disco ball still spins in the attic. Unexpected, slightly baffling, yet bizarrely delightful. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. When your AI DJ thinks it's censoring a toddler tantrum, but pulls the plug on your metal therapy session, you know the machines are learning from the wrong playlist. In the quest for tranquility, nothing says relax, like the irony of meditative music blaring from a device designed to keep you perpetually connected and on edge. Paramount eyes Warner Bros. Discovery, sparking media frenzy over potential mega merger. In the grand circus of media mergers, It's popcorn and peanuts for everyone, as big players juggle junk bonds, hoping for a blockbuster sequel to their cash flow problems. Like a never-ending loop of a bad sitcom, the world watches Ukraine fend off Russian aggression while NATO's grand pledges echo hollowly in the background. Only 40% of house music fans reverse engineer tracks, and Cinedude calls it creative exploration. When Sultani 314 channels their inner mad scientist to dissect beats, it's less about musical alchemy and more about turning house into a DIY sonic chemistry set. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. Morgan Stanley predicts EUR/USD at 1.25, ignoring the financial weather forecast. When banks play fortune teller with foreign exchange, it's like betting on rain in the Sahara, bold, confident, and blissfully ignorant of the sandstorm on the horizon. In the grand game of geopolitical chess, the pawns are getting nervous, while the kings are busy making shadow puppets on the wall. Australian police deploy 125 officers for one manhunt, then ease travel warnings. When your vacation plans are held hostage by a single fugitive, you know the travel advisory system is just as reliable as a chocolate teapot. Tag 150, Crafts Castle Rat in Python and C calls it innovation. When malware gets a fancy new name like Castle Rat, you know the hackers are sipping lattes and planning their next digital siege from a cozy virtual fortress. Airbus executive teases satellite deal with Thales and Leonardo, a potential space-age Ménage Vaufroy. In the world of corporate space soap operas, nothing says we're serious like a vague promise of a deal that might happen this year, because who doesn't love suspense with their satellites? Google translates languages, but the unholy silence remains. Misa's indie pop track is still unheard. Like a mime in a library, the song waits for ears, while algorithms shuffle through languages, proving that even music can get lost in translation. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. The age-old tale of rock and roll gatekeeping, where the music elite decide who gets to wear the crown and who just looks like a kid playing dress-up in mom's attic. It's a bold move to play diplomat in a region where peace talks are like unicorn sightings. Rare and mythical. Maybe Rubio's packing more than just sunscreen. In a world where empathy's been traded for ratings, proposing death as a solution to poverty might just be the most dystopian reality show pitch yet. Trump claims arrest in Charlie Kirk shooting, but FBI's response has all the grace of a three-legged elephant on roller skates. While Leguizamo's Nelson Castro battles bureaucracy. The real drama is watching a family cling to the American dream like it's a 50-cent coupon in a billionaire's wallet. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. Trump administration demands emergency ruling to oust Cook, then keeps the chaos coming. In the grand circus of political theater, the ringmaster never fails to keep us on our toes, juggling democracy like a cheap set of bowling pins. In a twist that makes time travel seem plausible, Ethiopians enjoy a fresh start 7 years behind, reminding us all that calendars are just bureaucratic daydreams. It's hard to take mood advice from someone who doesn't realize that the real secret to happiness is a cup of coffee and ignoring self-help columns. Bob Menendez's wife claims she was a puppet in bribery case. Gets 4.5 years in prison. If she was the puppet, does that make him the ventriloquist in this courtroom drama? Or just another politician with his hand in the wrong places? Trump praises Albanese as a good man. Then liberal Senator Hume calls coalitions weak, unifying. The coalition's handling of Jacinta Nampijinpa Price's remarks about Indian migrants was like watching a soap opera where the scriptwriters forgot to add any plot. Just a series of awkward pauses and cringeworthy missteps. Stephen Hawking proven right after decade, black holes merge. Turns out the universe doesn't care about your skepticism. As even in the void of space, Hawking's genius shines brighter than a supernova and makes every doubter look as dense as a singularity. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. Nothing says protect and serve like turning an animal shelter into a Breaking Bad episode, proving once again that the FBI's best laid plans often go up in smoke, literally. In the Grand Vegas tradition of the show must go on, Neil's comeback tour includes a crash course in basic motor skills and a set list of greatest hits. Spotify blocks access for outdated browsers, then blames your tech. When your favorite tunes are stuck in a digital time warp, it's like trying to stream a concert through a tin can telephone. Welcome to the age of update or else. Researchers find giant DNA elements promise dental health. Turns out your mouth is a microscopic Jurassic Park, where DNA dinosaurs play hide and seek, and your gums are the unlucky playground. When NATO SWATs drones out of the sky like mosquitoes, you know the world's a backyard barbecue and someone's left the bug spray at home. You're listening to doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. Denmark launches second young academy, claims it's a fresh start. If you believe creating a young academy will magically solve climate change, you probably also think a new gym membership will make you fit without lifting a finger. Arguing out of respect is like calling a punch in the face a friendly tap. When the stakes are human lives, diplomacy becomes a hollow echo chamber. Turns out, cutting off the blood is like locking the pantry and expecting the mice to starve. But instead, they start hosting a rave with cancer cells as the VIP guests. When malicious code starts using AI to fish, it's like giving a con artist a doctorate in human psychology. Suddenly, your inbox is a minefield, and every click is Russian roulette. UK government slashes prison education by 50%, then claims it's reform, transforming reoffending rates with fewer books is like trying to win a marathon without shoes. Bold, misguided, and doomed to trip over its own empty promises. In the universe's version of a baby shower, a newborn planet emerges, surrounded by celestial confetti, reminding us that even the cosmos has a knack for messy beginnings. You're listening to doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. Y'all Bruno drops ick in the Afro House scene, yet TikTok's dance moves steal the spotlight. In the swirling dance-off of cultural zeitgeist, Y'all Bruno's beats are up against the relentless tide of TikTok choreography, proving once again that the revolution will be choreographed. Status Audio Pro X earbuds drop to $249, but your wallet won't hear the difference. In a world where earbuds promise to transport you to audio nirvana, you're still left wondering why your bank account feels like the only thing that's been truly canceled. It's the geopolitical equivalent of I Dare You, as HMS Richmond and USS Higgins stir the pot in international waters, while China plays its well-worn victim of Western mischief card, because nothing screams peace like a military parade on the high seas. Oxford Union President-elect faces disciplinary proceedings after remarks about Charlie Kirk ignite controversy. In a world where free speech is a slogan until it offends someone important, the Oxford Union continues its tradition of punishing thought crimes with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer to a souffle. U.S. halts Korea's major investment projects, then releases detained LG Energy workers after raid on Georgia battery sites. America's version of a welcome mat. Invite investors, raid their workplaces, and then wonder why they don't stick around for the apple pie. You're listening to doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. Iranian hackers exploit over 100 embassy email accounts, claim it's for peace. In a world where emails are more vulnerable than a house of cards in a wind tunnel, diplomats are left wondering if they should just go back to carrier pigeons. Open door board chair, Rebois slashes 85% of workforce, calls it streamlining. When the solution to corporate bloat is to toss out nearly 9/10 of your workforce, you might as well rename the company to Closed Door and call it a day. When the solution to political discord is a bottle flinging contest, it's clear the only thing uniting is confusion and chaos. When the eulogy for a career sounds like a dog whistle, it's clear the only unity here is in the echo chamber. Charlie Kirk spreads anti-immigration rhetoric in Asia, then meets fatal end. The bitter twist when a man preaching borders finds his final one so abruptly. Irony's got a dark sense of humor. It's like selling maple syrup at a premium because it's Canadian, while Uncle Sam's pancake stack gets a discount and a side of tax breaks. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. Kanye West ordered to pay $76,000 after his motion deemed frivolous in ex-employee lawsuit. When your legal strategy is as coherent as a late-night Twitter rant, maybe it's time to rethink your approach and your definition of genius. Director captures Kanye's lowest moments for 6 years, calls it art. Filming someone's train wreck life and slapping a cinematic label on it is like framing a dumpster fire as a cultural critique. Both end with the audience wondering why they paid for the smoke. When your plan to combat terrorism involves paperwork and red tape, you might as well fight fires with a fountain pen, ensuring the only casualties are trees sacrificed for your endless forms. NASA misses asteroid target, ends up with boomerang space rock. In a cosmic game of catch me if you can, scientists discover that hitting the wrong spot on an asteroid could turn a simple deflection mission into a high-stakes version of space dodgeball, where the ball always comes back. Like a last-minute swap at a talent show, Trump's team wants to switch Cook for Moran, proving once again that the Fed's playlist is more about who spins the records than who sets the beat. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. Bolsonaro, convicted of coup plotting, still claims he's Brazil's true savior. From stabbing victim to democracy's knife wielding, Bolsonaro's saga is a Netflix pitch where the hero thinks he's in an action movie, but it's really a dark comedy. It's like promising peace with one hand while the other hand is busy shopping for fireworks from the neighbor who's always in the headlines for lighting the fuse. It's a classic case of unleashing the trash parade and wondering why it stinks. When you fan the flames, don't whine about the fire. When your immigration policy's highlight is no chains this time, you've officially hit rock bottom on the humanity scale. When your groundbreaking antibiotic research needs a do-over, it's like discovering your magic bullet was actually a Nerf dart all along. Nepal PM seeks calm, promises to meet protesters' demands, then offers a 73-year-old's take on Gen Z. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. While Schwinger's dream might sound like magic, the reality is more like trying to power your house with a lightning bolt. Great in theory, but unless you're Thor, good luck. Autonomous trucks hit Interstate 45 and trucking companies call it progress. When your 18-wheeler is piloted by an algorithm with a Dallas police report machete beheading. Suspect kicks head into parking lot before trashing it. In a scene that makes horror films look like children's bedtime stories. Dallas serves a grim reminder that some folks mistake life for a budget slasher flick. While your browser's stuck in a digital horse and buggy, cowboy diplomacy's outlawed, rock roars ahead, leaving both your browser and Spotify's demands eating dust. Family lake house dispute erupts as siblings turn nostalgia into a battlefield, turning a picturesque retreat into a soap opera is a classic move when money and memories mix like oil and water on a slippery dock. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. When a health strategy feels like a game of musical chairs, don't be surprised if the music stops and you're left standing in the vaccination line without a seat. U.S. slashes aid, imposes tariffs, drains $128 billion from developing countries, calls it strategy. When your economic plan resembles setting your own house on fire to keep the neighbors out, maybe it's time to rethink who's really getting burned. U.S. grocery prices rise again, blame avian flu. If your breakfast costs more than your car insurance, it's not inflation. It's the poultry apocalypse and a caffeine hike conspiring to make you regret your morning routine. When your tactical operation is larger than your missing person problem, maybe it's time to reconsider the size of your badge collection. Masked nationalists rally in Niagara, then call it patriotism. When love thy neighbor morphs into love thy neighbor, but only if they look like you, it's just a costume party for intolerance. ICE detains South Korean workers in Georgia, then sends them home on a charter plane. America's welcome mat is now a trapdoor, where land of opportunity translates to don't let the door hit you on the way out. A real Southern hospitality twist. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. The digital Cold War gets an upgrade as hackers dance through cyberspace, leaving U.S. trade officials wondering if their firewalls are made of Swiss cheese or just good intentions. Australia and P&G signed Defence Pact, then Aldi sells solar panels. While the Aussies bolster their military might with one hand, they're slinging renewable energy deals with the other. Because nothing says peace through strength like a shopping cart full of solar panels. Charlie Kirk's assassination ignites political violence debate, while leaders express shock. In 2025, political discourse is like a gasoline-soaked bonfire, and the match just got struck. The real tragedy is how predictably the flames spread. When parents demanding better services become targets, you know the only thing more special than education is the council's talent for turning accountability into a cloak and dagger routine. While scientists untangle the cosmic spaghetti of quantum states, Schrodinger's cat remains unimpressed, proving that even groundbreaking physics can't compete with a good math. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. Die Totenhosen announced European tour, but their keep calm and carry on motto feels ironic for punk rockers. When the rebels of yesteryear tell you to keep calm, you know the revolution's been gentrified. Nothing says punk like a self-help mantra printed on a mug. Charlie Kirk's alleged killer caught widowed vows continued his legacy, because nothing says justice like a sequel to a tragedy. Elon Musk demands UK Parliament dissolution at far-right rally, because when you're a billionaire, democracy is just a speed bump. Nothing screams unity like a tech mogul with a god complex telling a country to scrap its government while standing on a digital soapbox. Former Virgin Australia boss exits with $50 million package while airline staff enjoy their peanuts. The golden parachute lands safely as Jane Herdlicka floats down to a plush retirement, leaving the rest of us to wonder if we missed the memo on how to monetize mediocrity. With gavel in hand, the court finally pins Bolsonaro to the wall, leaving his loyalists to spin a conspiracy theory that even Netflix would reject. North Korea executes citizens for sharing foreign films, but claims it's preserving culture. Kim Jong-un's idea of cultural preservation is like keeping a museum by burning all the exhibits. The only thing on display is fear. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. Romania's fighter jets take to the skies like a hawk swatting flies, while Putin insists the drone was just sightseeing on a budget tour of Eastern Europe. While Crawford danced around the ring, and Alvarez's punches seemed more like gentle hugs, the real fight is now online, where everyone's a couch side expert. It's a wild west in the cyber realm, where your data's the damsel, and the sheriff's too busy reading Kubernetes manuals to mount a rescue. Charlie Kirk shooting sparks firings, then free speech takes a bullet. When expressing an opinion gets you canned faster than a tuna, you know society's priorities are more tangled than a pair of headphones in a toddler's pocket. In the land of the free, where thoughts and prayers are as common as mass shootings, students are left to wonder if the real American dream is just surviving the next news cycle. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. In a world where silicon chips are the new gold, Micron's stock surge is less about innovation and more about the tech world's collective obsession with shiny things that go beep. Charlie Kirk dies at 31, shot during Utah speech, leaving behind a legacy of divisive rhetoric. It's like charging a starving man for crumbs, but now the ministers want a gold star for promising to refund the penny pinch while they ignore the pound of flesh already taken. Russian army advances. Ukrainians face the impossible choice. Then the world watches with popcorn. It's a grim reality show where the prize for staying is survival. And leaving means abandoning everything, while global spectators tune in for the latest episode of humanity's darkest hour. Larry Ellison overtakes Elon Musk, becomes world's richest with $400 billion, but nobody gets a raise. Netanyahu blocks hostage return, claims it's for peace. In a plot twist worthy of a... You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. Only 40% of boxing fans believe Canelo versus Crawford is the biggest fight, and Vegas promoters call it historic. In a town where hyperbole is as common as slot machines, the real battle is convincing anyone that this isn't just another bloated spectacle. Only 25% of piano music listeners actually download Spotify, and the NIBSA calls it essential. In a world where browsers hold music hostage, the real dream is finding an app in a cosmic comedy of errors. The nation that once raced to space now finds itself grounded by its own bureaucracy, proving once again that paperwork is the true final frontier. In a world where witches and bumblebees circle to nostalgic tunes, Aduba's ice escapade proves that even Emmy winners need a little escapism from the real-life horror show we're all trapped in. Trump blames Utah man for Kirk's death before any evidence. It's like blaming the toaster for the house fire. You haven't even checked if the stove was on. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. NATO sends 40 fighter jets east, says it's for peace. It's like throwing more bouncers at a bar fight and calling it a dance party. When the music stops, all you've got is a room full of bruisers waiting for the next round. When your couch costs as much as a used car, and the only thing it transforms into is buyer's remorse, maybe it's time to rethink your living room priorities. North Carolina governor approves grant for up to $15 million to Mr. Beast's Beast Games, then talks about fiscal responsibility. When your state's budget is tighter than a drum, nothing screams priorities like tossing a small fortune at a YouTuber's pixelated playground while the infrastructure crumbles. Israeli leaders heap praise on Charlie Kirk, then cancel his visit. When your best buddy can't make it to the party, it's either a scheduling conflict or you're worried he'll spill the punch all over the Judeo-Christian carpet. Over 100,000 attend London rally, then far-right activist calls it a peaceful gathering. When you're a far-right leader and your peaceful rally turns into a street fight, it's like calling a hurricane a gentle breeze. Delusional spin meets real-world chaos. Charlie Kirk shot at Utah University event, then whisked away by security like a conspiracy theory gone rogue. In a world where words are weapons, sometimes the bullets are more literal than metaphorical, leading us to wonder if the rhetoric will ever find a safety switch. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. When the beats of the future require a browser update, you know the tech gods have forsaken us for a few lines of code. Maybe Volume 2 will come with an upgrade for our patience too. In a world where the end is near, nothing screams irony like needing a browser update to hear the soundtrack of impending doom. Remember, folks, when tech giants play gatekeeper, the music stops for everyone except the privileged. Palestinian employee stabs 2 hotel guests. And everyone wonders why peace is still a pipe dream. When hospitality becomes hostility, you might think someone's got a twisted sense of room service. Maybe it's time for some conflict resolution on the pillow menu. When your immigration policy is a boomerang, you might want to reconsider the whole land of opportunity slogan. Starmer defends Mandelson, then Epstein emails surface. When your moral compass points directly to a guy with Epstein on speed dial, it's time to recalibrate before the needle spins off entirely. You're listening to doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. When your biggest competition involves cell references and pivot tables, maybe it's time to redefine what counts as an athletic feat. Trump administration unveils electric air taxi trial but ignores climate crisis. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. In the land of cricket diplomacy, where national pride rides on the arc of the ball, Sri Lanka's power play left Bangladesh looking like they were on an accidental holiday. It's like deja vu with a side of amnesia as we dive headfirst into another round of financial brinkmanship, armed only with the lessons we forgot from the last crash. When ministers play semantics with the economy, it's like calling a flat tire resting. You're still not getting anywhere without a miracle or a mechanic. When California and Texas start playing copycat on democracy's playground, you know the sandbox is more about building partisan castles than fair representation. You're listening to doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. When the political theater needs a private jet to transport a coffin, you can bet the eulogies will be more about spin control than sincerity. When your neighbor's visits drop faster than a politician's promises, maybe it's time to check if your house is on fire or just full of smoke. ICE agent fires on driver, then claims it was self-defense. When your job description includes dragged a significant distance, perhaps it's time to reconsider the whole serve and protect angle. Starmer pushes AI uptake, but only 17% of UK workers trust it, like asking if they'd trust a fox in a henhouse. While Starmer dreams of a digital utopia, workers are left clutching their job security like a lifeboat in a sea of automation-induced anxiety. Panama's ocean lifeline vanishes for 4 years, and the sea shrugs like a tired magician out of tricks. Without its nutrient-rich upwelling, the Gulf of Panama's marine life is left gasping for breath, while politicians offer thoughts and prayers instead of solutions. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. Turns out, your brain's insula is the ultimate con artist, fusing smells and taste to make sugar-free drinks seem sweet, just like it makes you believe your ex's "let's be friends" is genuine. "48 years later, poking at old wounds, with the hope that truth, like a stubborn ghost, might finally haunt the halls of justice and rattle the chains of accountability." When social media celebrates a death like a sports victory, it's less a commentary on the departed and more a mirror reflecting the party's own moral void. Watching Patel try to explain the FBI's missteps is like listening to a cat narrate a dog show. Chaotic, baffling, and you just know something's getting shredded. When rock stars start serenading the families of talking heads known for their right-wing rants, you have to wonder if the next album will come with a complimentary tinfoil hat. Trump torpedoes Florida vaccine rollback, calling it a betrayal. In a state where health policy now seems to hinge on presidential mood swings rather than public safety, Floridians are left wondering if their flu shots will come with a side of political theater. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. In the annual glitz and glamour of Eurovision, where sequins and diplomacy usually shine equally bright, the Netherlands and Ireland remind us that some stages are too blood-stained for song and dance routines. FBI warns UNC 6040 and UNC 6395 targeting Salesforce. Well, Salesforce still insists everything is customer-centric. When your data is more at risk than a toddler with a fork near an outlet, maybe it's time for Salesforce to admit that customer-centric shouldn't mean easy to steal from. In a bizarre twist that even the sharpest political satirist couldn't script, the man who weaponized free speech met his end at a venue dedicated to it, making one wonder if karma finally got sick of being just a concept. In a twist of irony, sharper than a jet's wing, the ministry's idea of made in India soars on the wings of French engineering, proving once again that patriotism is best served with a side of imported expertise. In the grand tradition of zombie politics, even death can't stop a right-wing tour from marching on, as if irony itself is a ghostwriter. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. When the puppet master becomes the marionette, even the strings start questioning their purpose in the political theater of the absurd. When your military strategy makes Amnesty International sound like a voice of reason, you've officially misplaced your moral compass, assuming you had one in the first place. A Ukrainian hacker getting a bounty like a Wild West outlaw is just the 21st century's way of saying crime pays until it doesn't, and then it pays the bounty hunters. Snack brands promise dye-free recipes, still pack them with sugar. When junk food gets a makeover, it's like swapping a leopard spots for polka dots. No matter the color, it's still ready to pounce on your health. When your week is so dark, you start looking to a possum for emotional support. It's time to reconsider your life choices before you end up in a motivational calendar for nocturnal animals. When your foreign policy resembles a game of international whack-a-mole, maybe it's time to question if you're the hero or the villain in your own narrative. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. When banks and private debt join forces to play Monopoly with billions, it's a game of who wants to be a billionaire, where the only losers are the unsuspecting pawns in the market. Israel strikes Hamas in Qatar, calls it defense, but it's a Middle Eastern game of whack-a-mole with higher stakes. When diplomacy is as elusive as a mirage in the desert, every bomb dropped is a diplomatic bridge burned, leaving the Gulf to wonder if it's next in line for target practice. No 10 claims. Starmer found Mandelson's Epstein emails reprehensible, then dodges stronger words. When politicians treat moral outrage like a game of linguistic limbo, you wonder if their spines are as flexible as their convictions. Donald Trump praises Charlie Kirk, yet the 31-year-old's life is cut short by campus gunfire. When even the self-proclaimed legends aren't safe, maybe it's time we rethink who gets to wield the power and the weapons. When a nature preserve becomes a geopolitical chess move, you can bet the only endangered species here is international diplomacy. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. When your financial strategy resembles a slapstick routine, expect the economy to slip on more than just banana peels. The irony is palpable when a conservative activist known for shouting freedom finds himself silenced by a bullet, while the audience, once captivated by his rhetoric, now fixates on the hunt for a ghostly gunman. As fans mourn the loss of a legend, The boxing world quickly shifts focus to cashing in on nostalgia, proving that in sports, the show and the profit must always go on. While Democrats and others mourn a chilling act of violence, certain conservatives are already spinning conspiracy webs that make Area 51 look like a lemonade stand. FBI director posts old photo with Kirk after assassination. When tragedy strikes, why not dig up a smiling snapshot to remind everyone of the good old days when conspiracy theories were just a side hustle, not a death sentence. Charlie Kirk dies at 31 during Utah event, and reverence turns to speculation on Trump's next move. In the political theater, where loyalty is currency, Kirk's sudden exit leaves a vacuum, and the vultures of ambition are already circling, ready to claim his spotlight. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. Is like being told to polish your shoes before wading through a mud pit, all for the privilege of hearing a folk tune about choices you never really had. Turns out, even with an atomic clock, you can't fast forward past the fact that these eggs are older than your grandma's conspiracy theories. Missouri Republicans redraw district lines, then call it democracy. When maps start looking like abstract art, you know the GOP's been busy with their crayons, turning representation into a twisted game of connect the dots. Only 33% of UK firms use bossware to monitor workers and call it security, because nothing says trust like turning your office into a digital panopticon where every keystroke and coffee break is logged under the guise of safety. Men's plays Santa, handing out warnings instead of candy canes, reminding labor that electoral goodwill can vanish faster than a politician's promise post-election. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where sanity melts like sugar. Proof nothing is true, reality is shattered desire. Israel intensifies Gaza bombardment. Families flee, and leaders call it defense. When bombs rain down like confetti at a dictator's parade, defense becomes a grotesque euphemism for chaos and human suffering. This has been Doomscroll.fm, fading into irrelevance. This broadcast was 100% AI generated. No humans were abused in this production. Loosely based on public news, not journalism, not truth. Fictional satire, resemblance to real people or events is coincidental. If you believe any of this is real, consider enrolling in a course on mythical creatures. Hear more at doomscroll.fm or click like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.